everybody, it's Kathy Melrose with Philanthropic Landlord. I am here on a cold September morning, enjoying a morning fire, feeling it on my back. It feels really good. I am so excited about this episode because it is a quick summary of an experience that will hopefully show how being generous can often provide huge return on investment. So here's what happened. I bought a building from the city a couple years ago. It was a building that the city, I think they had a dual motive. Of course it needed to make profit because they were using city money, taxpayer money on this project. And it was to house more of the population who really needed housing. It's a beautiful big fourplex. Since their motive was at least 50% profit, technically in that situation when you're using taxpayer money, the motive needs to be fully, you cannot do fun renovations just because they're pretty, and there's a lot of things you can't do. So this building needs a lot of work. The walls are just this super cheap, not plywood, but I forget what it's called. It's horrible. The ceilings are all drop ceilings. The drop ceiling needs to be trashed and raised up. You've got another 3 feet of ceiling in each of the units. It could be really beautiful. And so there's 2 tenants that recently moved out and just got their first home. It's the first set of tenants I've had that have moved from renting from me to buying their first home. Congratulations, you two. I'm really happy for them. But their unit was the only one that I haven't had a chance to renovate. The other 3, I've already taken an initial shot at it. Each time a tenant moves out, I'm going to do more on the renovation. I have not gotten rid of the drop ceilings on any of them yet. The other renovations Unit 4 was entirely replacing the floor. The previous tenants had animals that were so... I guess they just kept them locked in that house the whole time, like horrible animal cruelty. The floors were literally rotted through. It was bad. So I had everything, including the subfloor, taken out and new flooring and all sorts of other fixes. The other unit 1, I had a lot done on that one. But that one was a fairly quick remodel. I only had a week since I found tenants before even listing it. And then the unit 2, the city had just remodeled, and they'd done as part of the prepping it for sale. They'd done a fantastic job. I mean, just the flooring alone in this teeny little 1-bedroom, they went with one of my favorite flooring companies, Excalibur. They do a fantastic job. Well, they're not a flooring company, but they did the floor for this one, and that was $4,000 just for that flooring. So they did improvements, but every time I go in, I need to replace the fridge, replace the stove. That's, replace what I can and invest what I have at the moment to improve it. But right now, I don't have a lot extra. No extra per se. And I've got 2 huge project houses that need to be winterized and closed up. One of them, which I'll tell you about in an upcoming episode, a 1-bedroom schoolhouse, is still open and exposed to the elements, and it's September and it was low 30 degrees last night. I need to get that place winterized. I need to get some windows on it, which is part of closing it up, so that at least the inside doesn't have a massive critter infestation over the winter, because I have cleaned up some of that from the winter before. That was before I owned it, But I've got a lot of money going out for the different projects that's more urgent than a pretty renovation on the unit that my tenants just exited while they were buying their first home. Anyway, long story short, getting back to it. The point I want to get through with this is that when you're generous, it can pay dividends that you can't get any other way. And I've just seen this again and again and again. And this one was so obvious and so off the wall bizarre that it's just too perfect of an example to not share. So here's what happened. In this fourplex that I bought from the city, one of the units has a weird utility bill. every month their utilities should be maybe $50 max if they're running the AC unit, if they're running high power computers, maybe 100. But breaking 3 digits would mean they're doing some crazy stuff. Their bill is between 250 to 300 to 400, and I can't figure out why. And I can't ask them to pay a mystery bill when their rent is only $690 a month, and a utility bill that's 400. That just doesn't compute. And that's the kind of thing you need to warn a tenant about. I've tried to figure out why, cannot figure out why. I've had 2 different electricians, well, 1 electrician and 2 handyman type people in there looking at it, and nobody can figure it out. They're just like, but it's not their money coming out of their account every month, so of course they're not going to care about it on that level. But I have tried. I've contacted the utility company, and they all tell me the same thing. And no, nobody's leeching off of it. No, it's not being stolen by, and because sometimes you can hook into the electrical box and steal electricity that way. That's not happening. Can't figure it out. So, just a second. Here's how, and I've kind of given up, but still that bill going out every month is just, I hate it. I need to get rid of it. So, I've talked to several electricians. I've only had 1 official electrician over there. But I know 1 really good electrician. And all I'll say is that his first name's Mike. You can never, Mike, John, Joe, whatever, really common name. I've been trying to get Mike over there, but not terribly hard because he's impossible to get. I remember when I was closing on 1 house, we were sitting in the closing room, signing the papers, and I mentioned that I'd had this electrician do all the electrical at a commercial building that I own. And they said, "Oh, how did you get him?" And we're all chicks sitting around. "How did you get him?" And I'm like, "Well, he's a friend of the guy I was dating. It was one of his old friends. And he got him to come over," and they're like, "Oh, I've never been able to." Anyway, they were so excited that I managed to get this electrician. And so I wanted to get Mike back to take a look at this electrical problem, but I know it was probably, not going to be profitable for him for sure, and definitely not going to be something he would have time for. He didn't need the work because he had a regular day job. Anyway. I had this electrical problem. I had 2 tenants moving out of a unit that was a 2-bedroom. I have 2 tenants living in a 1-bedroom that's not big enough for them. The 2 tenants in the 1-bedroom were behind on their rent, or are still behind on their rent. You do not move tenants from a 1-bedroom who are behind on their rent into a 2-bedroom. But I did, and here's why. They don't fit in a 1-bedroom. It's 2 tenants, but it's a brother and a sister. And so he's sleeping in the living room, which is essentially the entryway. And she's got the 1-bedroom. And the only way to get to the bathroom is to go through the 1-bedroom. It's uncomfortable on so many levels. But they're young, very young. Most people wouldn't rent to them. They're young, but they've been as responsible as they can be. I have had to call the mother a couple of times to make sure she was aware that rent was behind, that sort. Anyway, but I've worked with them. And moving them to the 2-bedroom felt like the right thing to do. And here's why it made good sense from a financial perspective for me. The 2-bedroom needs renovation. It needs new carpet, new walls. The walls need to be redone. The ceiling needs to be raised. If I was to go in there and prep it for a new renter, it would be a 2 to 3 month project. It would probably not be rented till January 2021. Not that I can't find renters. It's just that it needs a lot of work, and I can't force myself to rent it as is. But I asked Garris, I shouldn't say their names. Let's say Gary, whatever. the names of the two tenants who need the two bedroom, the brother sister. I told them, why don't you go check it out? Go check it out, see if you like it. Well, they loved it, but they were too polite to say, oh, please, 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 please. So instead, I just, I took a minute to ask them, it's like, honestly, what do you think? And they think, I am being ridiculously generous with this. Behind on rent, renting a 2-bedroom for the same price as a 1-bedroom. But here's where it makes sense to me. I got them started with their move over there because it was the right thing to do. And just in my gut, I knew it was the right thing to do. And I hoped it would give me a minute to figure out the electrical issue in the other unit. But it wasn't until a couple days ago that I realized I wasn't really hopeful I was going to figure it out. And then a couple days ago, after I had told the brother-sister couple they could have it, and after I told them they could start their move, I got a message from this amazing electrician saying, hey, my 21-year-old son needs a place to rent. Do you have any openings? And I was able to say yes. But it has an issue. This 1-bedroom has an electrical issue that's causing it, the renter has to pay the electrical. If you guys can figure out what's going on, if anybody can figure it out. I mean, this is an electrician who can rewire the whole building. Not a problem. And finding places to rent is really hard right now. So I think this is the best move by a long shot. And I'm really excited about it. And I know that the electrician's son hasn't moved in yet. But I told him the situation. I'm not hiding anything. I'm letting him know. I would absolutely love to have him in there, because if the electrician's son is paying that electrical bill, they're going to get it fixed. Guaranteed. There is nothing more powerful than that, especially when you're 21 years old. And I'm just so excited about it. Things work out sometimes. Sometimes they don't. And you cry and you have a really hard time and you bash your head against the wall or whatever you do when you're super frustrated. But I have just found again and again that when I'm generous, it all works out. This is a problem that cost me about $4,000 of unnecessary expenses last year. 300 something a month on average is $4,000 a year. And so if I had taken the route of leaving the underpaying, I mean, they're still behind, but it's only a couple $100. It's less than a month of the electrical in that place. If I'd left them there, that would have kept that unit locked in a way where I couldn't have just gutted it and gotten the electrical fixed. This way I have almost no break. I have a couple of days literally between the time when the renters who just bought a house moved out to their house, the renters in the 1-bedroom moved to the 2-bedroom. This 21-year-old will probably move in next week if I say okay. And I've got myself a fantastic rental. And if I'm not careful, I'm also going to have a house on fire. So, oh, that's nice and warm. It's awesome. Anyway, I'm signing off for now so I can pick up. Check out my skeleton, my Halloween decorations. Anyway, I'm going to go take care of this. And I'm so excited. Problems solved. Sometimes it all works out. Bye.